Will the bill help with inflation? And are Democrats actually on track to pass it? The man behind the deal, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, will be here live. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia joins us now to discuss. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. So 16 days ago, you said you wanted
Thanks for having me, Jake.
You said 16 days ago, you said you wanted to wait to pass any major legislation because of what you called an alarming new 9.1% inflation rate. Inflation has not gone down in those 16 days. What changed your mind?
Well, Jake, basically what changed our mind, Chuck, we re-engaged. To Chuck's credit, we start setting down. Our staffs kept talking through. I never did walk away, but we reorganized the bill, if you will, because what we had before that, there were things in there that I considered and thought it could be considered to be inflammatory, and I want that to happen. Inflation is the greatest challenge we have in our country right now and around in my state and around the country. So that's what we're fighting. And we started talking again. We got the bill down to where there's nothing inflammatory in this bill, even though there's some naysayers. I'm sure you're going to always hear that, but there is nothing in that. We're paying down debt, $300 billion. We're increasing production as far as if you want to get the gasoline prices down, produce more energy and produce it here in America. That's what we're doing. And we're investing in the technologies for the future energy. So we're doing everything to bring manufacturing back, keep people working. And I think it's a great piece of legislation. And on normal times, my Republican colleagues would be for something such as this. Excuse me. We've basically paid down debt is what they want. We've accelerated permitting, which is what they want. And we've increased production of energy, which is what they want. We've done things that we should be doing together.
Yeah. Since you announced your deal, new GDP numbers obviously are sparking fears of a recession. There's a Penn Wharton analysis that found that your bill, quote, would very slightly increase inflation until 2024 and decrease inflation thereafter, unquote. Senate Republicans also released a new Joint Committee on Taxation analysis yesterday showing that in the short term, your bill would actually result in a small increase in federal taxes for Americans. Like I said, short term, but still. What evidence do you have that this bill will reduce inflation and will not increase taxes?
Chuck, first of all, I respectfully disagree with the people from Penn Wharton. They're wonderful people. We've worked with them tremendously. We just have a disagreement on this. But you know, there were 17 Nobel laureates who said that inflation was going to be discretionary. It wasn't going to happen. Okay, it wasn't going to be permanent. Well, we found out they were wrong. And people can be wrong, but how in the world can it be inflammatory? How can it add flames to the inflation fires right now if you're paying down debt? You're increasing more production from fossil industry and energy, and we're doing it cleaner anywhere in the world. We'll be energy independent. We're making our batteries for our cars to be here made in America before you get any credits whatsoever. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we attack the problem. And these are solutions to the problems we have. So I know everyone's playing politics with it. This is not a green deal. It's not a Republican deal. It's not a Democrat deal. It is a red, white, and blue deal. And this is what the American people want, solutions and a balanced energy approach.
I know there are individuals like former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers who say they do not think this is going to be inflammatory. They do not think it's going to cause inflation. But do you have evidence? Are there studies about this bill that say that it will not cause inflation to go up?
We looked at everything humanly possible and had everyone cross-sectioning this. But basically what we did is we said, okay, the tax rate was 35% in 2017, Chuck. It went to 21%, a 14% reduction. Jake, I'm sorry.
No problem.
It went to 14%, Jake. I know, he's your friend. 14% reduction. And everyone thought, well, that's tremendous. They were tickled to death at 21%, okay? Well, they got to 21%. And I never knew there were people basically not paying any taxes. Most of the people in West Virginia, all corporations pay at least 21 or more, and around the country. So don't you think they ought to at least pay the 15% minimum when we already gave them a 14% reduction? That's all we've talked about. So we never raised any taxes. We're just saying close the loopholes and collect the taxes that are owed to the Treasury and the United States people. That's all we're trying to do, and we didn't do it, so we're not adding there. We're not putting a burden on any taxpayers whatsoever. And we're going to create more energy for them to pay lower prices at the gas pump, hopefully lower prices at the food store, and lower prices basically in all their daily needs, energy prices especially. Yeah. And energy is a driving force right now in inflation.
So you need all 50 Democratic senators to pass the bill. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, Democrat of Arizona, still has not said anything publicly about this plan. We know that she has previously opposed closing the so-called carried interest loophole that, for instance, allows hedge fund managers and private equity investors to pay tax rates of 15% instead of higher. When's the last time you spoke with Senator Sinema, and are you open to any changes that she might suggest?
First of all, Senator Sinema is my dear friend. We work very close together on so many things. And she has so much in this piece of legislation. She's formed quite a bit of it and worked on it very hard. And with that, she's brought down drug prices. She's been very instrumental in letting Medicare go ahead and negotiate for lower drug prices, saves $288 billion, brings the price down of drugs, and it's going to be a tremendous help to people across America. And I agree with her 100%. We're not going to raise taxes, and we don't. And on that, I think that basically when she looks at the bill and sees the whole spectrum of what we're doing and all of the energy we're bringing and all the reduction of prices and fighting inflation by bringing prices down by having more energy, hopefully she will be positive about it. But, you know, she'll make her decision, and I respect that.
When did you last speak with her, and are you confident she will be on board?
Well, we speak, you know, I speak with everybody, as you know, and we've always been very friendly, and we speak a lot, and you see us on the floor and everything. Jake, the reason people weren't brought into this, I didn't think it would come to fruition. I didn't want to disappoint people. Again, they were all disappointed. Everyone was upset and mad in my delegation, if you will. For 8 months we worked on it. I couldn't get there with Build Back Better. It was $3.5 trillion of spending. And this is taking $3.5 trillion of spending down to $400 billion of investment that's definitely going to make a difference in America and everybody's pocketbook. And that's fighting inflation. That's what we're doing. So with that, I didn't want to build anyone's anticipation up, and then they come down and up and down and like a yo-yo with all the drama that goes into this. So I just basically hunkered down with my staff. We've been doing this since April and May diligently, and then we thought it fell apart. A couple weeks ago, we came back to Chuck's credit. Let's start talking some more. We did, to see if we could scale this thing to where we could basically put it in a position that we have it today, which I think is great. A great opportunity. It's not a Democrat bill, it's not a Republican bill, it's definitely not a green bill. This is a red, white, and blue bill. It's great for America.
The Senate leaves for August recess at the end of this week. That's the schedule anyway. Will you have passed this legislation before you go back home to West Virginia?
I sure hope so. I think that's been the plan. I didn't, you know, when it came all to fruition, and Monday, this past Monday, and I was tested positive on Monday morning, so I was kind of confined up and everything, but we were working daily, day and night. The staff was working, and everyone was interacting, and things start coming together, and by Wednesday, we had texts that we all agreed on. The president agreed on it, and so did Nancy Pelosi agreed on it, and Chuck Schumer and I agreed on it. So we had an agreement for something we've worked on for a long time, and I think that's what it's all about.
If it passes, this bill is poised to be one of the biggest achievements of the Biden presidency. What role did President Biden play in these negotiations? Does he deserve any credit for this bill?
Oh, absolutely. Jake, let me tell you, you don't do anything of this size and magnitude, and this is changing. It changes the whole energy production we have in our country. It changes the investment portfolio for the energy of the future. It creates jobs back here because we give incentives. We didn't send a check to anybody. We gave them incentives to earn it, and that's the bottom line with investments. But you don't do a bill this magnitude and this size without the president knowing what's going on, the president being involved in to a certain extent, but also giving approval. And that's what President Biden did, and I'm forever grateful that we have an agreement and a piece of legislation that's going to be really, I think, changing the whole landscape of America.
As you know, in the last couple of years, you've faced a lot of criticism, public and private, from your fellow Democrats. Senator Sanders said you didn't have the guts to stand up to special interests. Congresswoman Jayapal said you betrayed your commitment to Democrats. She said you weren't a man of your word. After all that, how does it feel that Democrats are now running to embrace this legislation?
Jake, I take none of that personally at all. I understand the frustrations they had and everything, but I don't look at it as politics. I didn't look at it as a Democrat, or I had an obligation, responsibility because I have a D by my name, and I sure don't look at my Republican friends and colleagues that that's my enemy. They're my friends. We're all Americans. Can't we put our country first? That's what I've always said. So I'm not going to make deals, and I'm not going to make negotiations, and I'm not going to vote because it helps one party over the other party, or it's good for the next election. This is good for America. This is what this is all about, and that's what I care about.
President Biden says he plans to run for re-election in 2024. You have not yet committed to supporting him in 2024. Do you think President Biden deserves a second term?
Jake, I'm not getting involved in any election right now. 2022, 2024, I'm not speculating on it. President Biden is my president right now. I'm going to work with him and his administration to the best of my ability to help the people in my state of West Virginia and this country. And we have agreements, we have respectful agreements, but we respect each other and we work through them. So this is what people are upset about. Everything's about the next election. This is about today's inflation rates that's killing people. We have got to get the inflation rate down. We have got to have an energy policy that works for America. And we're not going to raise taxes, but people should be paying their fair share, especially the largest corporations in America that have $1 billion of value or greater. Can't they pay at least 15% so that we can move forward and be the leader of the world and the superpower that we are?
Senator Joe Manchin, thank you so much. Appreciate your time today, sir.